Welcome to the Who's Crushing It segment of the REI Marketing Weekly. What's going on, guys? Josh Culler here. And today I've got a very exciting show for you because this is actually the first time that I've ever met this guest who, obviously, if you guys clicked on this, you know who it is. It's Adrian with Carrot, now formerly known as an Investor Carrot, now rebranded as just Carrot, which is freaking awesome. Congratulations on getting that domain. That's insane. I'm surprised some health
It
guru
is.
didn't get it or something like that. So that's awesome. But anyway, today we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can utilize your website to actually drive leads to it. Now, I had this conversation with my good buddy on the way to the airport, Todd Swaggerty, yesterday about his mail pieces. So he was talking about how some people just and he's going to be on the show pretty soon, guys, by the way. But he was talking about how sometimes people don't get results from his services, but they're not utilizing it properly. And they're not pushing it out at the right moments or giving the right messaging and that kind of thing. And so the way I always look at it is, anybody could put a basketball in anybody's hands, but that doesn't mean they're going to be able to make money with it. But if you put a basketball in LeBron James' hand, he's going to be able to make billions and be able to do whatever he wants with the rock. And the reason is because he knows how to use it properly. It's the same thing with websites, same thing with anything in marketing. So I really want to hit on this because everybody must have a website, period. Like, there's no exception there. You got to drive people to that. But I'm afraid that a lot of times people just don't know how to utilize it properly. And then they say their website doesn't work. And then they just go back to saying referrals is 100% of my marketing business and that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to stop ranting here and I'm going to let Adrian take over. So Adrian, do me a favor for the people who don't know who you are and don't know about Investor Carrot formerly, but Carrot now. Let's give a brief introduction and let people know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing all that.
Awesome, man. First of all, thank you, man. I've been excited to be on this the show and excited to see all the stuff you're doing. We have a lot of mutual friends, colleagues. A big one are the Gary and Susan. Mm-hmm. I love those guys.
Yeah.
Todd definitely is he's awesome. Love that guy and all that he's doing. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what he just said too. And you said it really, really great. But anyways. About me, my name is Adrian Nez. I'm a full-time investor. I'm probably more of a cash flow guy. Not really into rehabs, but the funny part is the last two deals have been rehabs. So I'm in it. I'm in there in the trenches like most of your listeners. I have probably maybe someone who's starting brand new. I have probably 9 years ahead of you. So a lot of lessons learned through that whole process. I am strongly connected with Carrot. I love what I do there. And what I do there is, first of all, I am head of customer strategy. So that's the keyword, strategy. So we'll touch on that here shortly too.
Awesome.
I've been with them really from the start. I came into Carrot, Investor Carrot at that time as a customer. And from there, the relationships have grown. And really, I think where that relationship grew is, again, what we're going to talk about is they saw me, as a customer, they saw me run with it the way that they would hope that a customer would run with the Carrot system. So that's kind of where my start came from, because I'm one of those guys that I didn't really want to dabble into the offline stuff, not to say anything negative about it. They all work. You just got to be consistent. I feel like you got to choose one and just go all in. So I decided to go all in with online marketing. And for me, the reason why on that was I'm very big on marketing. I'm big on branding. I'm big on psychology. So when you kind of mix that in and add to that whole element, finding a motivated seller, which is, our customer, to me, online marketing just made the most sense. Plus, it was very much a big part of my skill set. I didn't have to learn anything new. Love being behind the computer. I'm lazy. I was too ashamed to put out abandoned signs, to be honest, if we want to be transparent.
Yeah.
I didn't want to deal with direct mail because I didn't really quite understand it. Because again, my background has always been inbound, not necessarily interruptive marketing or going after cold traffic. So nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that are crushing it. A lot of people are crushing with those marketing methods, but inbound marketing was really where I was at. So I guess at the beginning is I made a decision to be a farmer, because online lead generation is very much like being a farmer.
I like it.
But yeah, so that's who I am. Again, Adrian Nez, and we can just, hopefully that was enough info there.
Yeah.
But do you want to just jump right into the strategy side, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So what exactly does that mean? Like, I know a lot of people just, they'll throw up their website and then just let it run and just slap their logo on it. And then it's like, hey, let's sit and wait now. So it's like,
right.
So what does that mean? Like, why do people need to strategize with their website? What all do they need to do when in that strategy planning for the website?
Right. So here's kind of, I'll take on, let's kind of take it a step further and work backwards. So I think one of the unfortunate things that I see quite a bit in our industry is that not too many people come into this business looking this as a business, just kind of more like, hey, let me dabble in it. And let me tell you why I say that. When you go into a real business, you should have a plan in place, right? How are you going to capture attention? Where are you going to advertise? What are you going to say? Who's your customer, right? When you know your customer, then you should be able to know what message you're crafting, where you're positioning that message, right? Because I don't believe in market everywhere. To me, it's about marketing in the right place,
right?
And the only way you're going to market in the right place is by knowing your customer. So with kind of like using direct mail, I'm sure a lot of you understand the whole concept of direct mail. When people just throw up their website, because, they're being told they should have a website, I tell people you have to have a website. I probably don't do a good job of bringing context to it. So I'm guilty of that at times. But when someone just throws up a website and just kind of hope it works, it's kind of like saying, going into direct mail and just kind of like, hey, let me just throw a bunch of mailers out without really no criteria. You're not targeting a specific list, so that's kind of really, it's kind of equal to that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure none of you would want to do direct mail that way. So same thing with online marketing. So I always like to challenge new investors. First of all, just have an online presence. Even if you don't know what to do, just have that online presence. It's a must, right? In our day and age, if you don't have a site, unfortunately, you're probably going to be less credible than someone who does. I could be in business for 50 years, have a flawless record, but don't have a website. People are going to wonder like, okay, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Right. Versus I could be a total con, have a website. I'm going to be a little bit more credible than this guy over here. So it is what it is with that. So that's kind of what I'm passionate about, is really bringing strategy to the website. So what does that mean? So strategy just means being intentional and knowing what you want to do with the website. So for me, so I always kind of break it down into two categories. One is, I think the low-hanging fruit is just having credibility, right? Being able to just let people know, hey, I'm a real business. I'm taking this seriously. Because here's the thing, guys. What we promise, what we say we're going to do to the everyday person, it's a big promise. I don't think sometimes we realize that. I mean, here we are saying we're going to buy your house as is, all cash. You pay no fees. And honestly, like, we're looking at ourselves as like the problem solver, as the person saving the day. But you'll be amazed how many people on the other end are initially skeptical. They're wondering like, hey, is this a scam?
Right.
Like, what's the catch? Like, this sounds way too easy. And so when you have, so your job as a problem solver is, when you understand your customer, not only should you know what their problem is and what the solution is, so that's the easy part, but also it's knowing what's going to be their initial objections, what's their concerns, why are they going to be on the fence. So as real estate investors, you have to understand that, when someone needs to sell their house, subconsciously, there's two things that people typically know to do, which is either talk with an agent, or you got to sell your house for sale by owner. Right. So that's how people now, when they're introduced to this new concept, they're kind of taken back. So our job is to instantly bring instant credibility, instant, help them know that this is legit. So that's why branding is very important. I don't think our industry's really done a good job on the branding aspect of it, because we've always kind of stuck to the primary messages. Hey, we buy houses, right? So more on what we do versus who we are. Now, there was a period of time that I think that was very effective. That was okay. But with the transparency that is needed and wanted, and with the internet being easily available anywhere, anytime, and very fast, people are going to vet you. So you got to have that online presence. I remember when I got started in this business, like you never wanted to put your actual address on your website.
No.
Very few investors would not put their face on their website. And like, man, that just didn't make sense to me. Like, how can you stand behind what you say, your promise, your integrity, if you're not willing to put yourself out there?
Yep.
Right. So, and I understand the whole idea behind why you don't want to put your address on, if you're sending out a ton of mailers, people are going to be pissed off, people are going to be upset. So yeah, I get that, but I really believe those are far in between.
Yeah.
Right. So,
so then
kind of
how
back
are
to strategy.
So then how are people, okay, I want to park on this, and I think you may be moving in this direction, but I want to make sure that we hit on this too. When I'm out with an active investor shooting video content for them, I'm telling them basically like exactly what you're saying. First of all, like I want to go back to is reiterate something you said. You guys hear me say this all the time, is that when you are doing your marketing, you have to know who your audience is and where they're at. Those are the two most important things, because if you don't know who they are, obviously you're not going to be able to find where they're at, because it's in that progression. So you got to go directly to where they are at. And more times than not, when they're searching to sell their house, they're on Google, or they're on, whatever search engine that they're looking for on a browser, actually typing it in. They're probably not going to Facebook typing in "sell my house now." So you got to think of it that way. But how are some, what are some ways, and again, you may be already moving in this direction, what are some ways that people can cushion that blow, when they're skeptical? Because I always tell people too, like, people don't know what an investor is. They think an investor is somebody that's on Wall Street and they're, investing in stocks and that kind of thing. Most people aren't familiar with that term. They just know the traditional route of selling with a realtor. Like that's like the primary thing. So what are some things to build that credibility on your website in order to cushion that blow and get that familiarity with the seller?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think that's a challenge right now. And I think that's what we're addressing at Carrot, which I love is, first of all, I kind of understand too, guys. I'll add this in, then I'll answer your question is, the reason why it's hard for people to grasp what we do is because we're not mainstream, right? We're not mainstream at all. So people are going to be not familiar. So I'll always understand that, especially if you're brand new. So me, again, back to knowing your customer and also keeping it super simple, guys. Sometimes we make this business more complicated and we make communication more complicated. So here's what I mean by that. And this will address your question. Like on my websites, and even when I talk to people, even when I go on appointments, or I even taught my team this, and this is just me, but I never refer to myself as an investor, right? I'm always referring to myself as a cash buyer, house cash buyer. You see, that has such a softer tone than to say, hey, I'm an investor. Because to me, it's almost like I think sometimes, like one of the biggest things I learned when I first got into this, really in marketing overall, was, especially, I made this mistake in real estate investing years ago, was when I started creating my marketing, it was all about me, my ego. So I went to Fiverr, got these really nice videos and this. So, and if I look back, it was all about me. It was not about my customer, right? I wanted to look good. I wanted to sound good. But I've learned that when you're in the problem solving business, you got to focus 100% on who you're serving, which is the motivated seller. So you got to look at things from their perspective. So that's why, me personally, I always refer to myself as a cash buyer, not an investor. They mean the same thing, but one has a softer tone.
Sure.
Also, I think you'll love this, Josh, is that, we can't always run with that same message with "we buy houses," because there's no substance. There's substance to it, but there's no substance. Mm-hmm. But when you begin to share, like one of the things that we do now is when I'm in an appointment, what we start doing and start implementing is we try to get there early or after the fact. Is we're going to start doing a lot of videos based on the story, on why we're there, why this person reached out to us. So for an example, instead of just, I could easily just get my camera and say, hey, here, Adrian here with Chief Real Estate Solutions. If you need to sell your house, I can help you. I can close in 7 days. That's it, right? We make the message very brief to the point, which is good. But at the same time, when you're talking to someone that has no clue exactly what you just said, you left them still hanging, right?
Yeah.
So that's why on a lot of the coaching
they're like,
calls
what just happened to me? What did I just watch?
Yeah, exactly. like what the exactly. So, but communicate that message, and that's where is tell the story, right? So I have an SEO client that I noticed that on her Facebook, she was posting articles on the house that they bought and what they were going to do, right? I said, listen, awesome that you guys are doing that, but let's flip what you're saying. Instead of talking about what you're going to do with the project, start talking about how you acquired the project. Tell the story. And this was on their Facebook page for motivated sellers. So it wasn't their branding on the investing side. But so instead of talking about how you're going to do this, do that, talk about how Sally reached out to you, found you online. She loved the fact that you had much more testimonials than other websites, that how she related to you because she saw your picture. She saw that you were a local company, right? Because what happens is that when you tell that story, now you're bringing substance. Now you're breaking it down. So now when someone watches that video, they understand in bite sizes and very simple terms and a story on what exactly that you do. So now they relate. So now they say, oh, awesome. If he can help Sally, he must be able to help me, because there's that social proof that you kind of baked into that whole that video. So keep it simple, guys. I mean, and also kind of refrain too from sounding too much like an agent, because back to what I said earlier, subconsciously, when people say, like I had another person that we were working with here at Carrot that said, hey, I'm getting a lot of clicks, a lot of traffic from Facebook, but no one's converting. I must have a conversion issue. So I said, no, it's not a conversion issue. I said, let's start first where everything begins, which in this case was the ad. So first thing I saw was his ad, and he did two things. One, his main headliner was sell your house fast, right? So here's the thing. That's a good keyword that we tend to use and like, right, as real estate investors. But here's the thing. A motivated seller, the everyday person, remember subconsciously realtor, right? What we said earlier.
Yeah.
They read that. Their first thing is not that, oh, this guy must be an investor. No, what they're thinking is, oh, this guy must be an aggressive agent.
Right.
Right. So, and then on top of that, he was using it. And on top of that, he was using an image that was a for sale sign and sold put onto it. So here's my question to you guys. Where do you typically see that? Who typically uses that? Yep. So I understand why we're using it. I understand the investor and what they're trying to convey, but you just put a spotlight on you and people assume so of course people are going to wonder, so what was probably happening was the people that were seeing his ads were looking for a realtor. So what happened? They were clicking on it. And when they landed on the site, they realized he's one of those house buying companies, which a good amount just wasn't what they're looking for. So of course they were bouncing, right? So guys, always look at, again, that's why it's so important to always, look at your results, but also challenge yourself. Why am I not getting these results? Kind of like what Todd said, right? There's no strategy. And if you guys just kind of wing it, it's great that you're taking action, right? I love the action takers, learn on the fly, learn as you're going, but at the same time, take time to really learn what you're doing, what's working, what's not working. And usually what's working is usually when something's not working, honestly, I don't think it has to do with the website or the mail piece. It's just, I think you're not understanding your customer enough to get their attention. Right. So, and that's no different with the website. So one of the things there's three things I always think is very important to have on your website. I don't care what you're using, whether it's Carrot or your own site. There's three things you should always focus on. One, show that you're a local company. We get that all the time when we talk to people like, oh, I chose you, I liked you, I trusted you because I noticed you're local. So you got to do a good job. And usually you can do that through the visuals, right?
Sure.
And then two, have enough testimonials, have some testimonials in place, right? Now, if you're starting out, a lot of times people say, well, I haven't done the deal yet. You know what? Reach out to some professionals that you know and have them vouch for you. Gather some character-based testimonials, right? So have them, because at the end of the day, I mean, those are probably just as valuable than from a testimonial from someone that you bought their house.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, when someone deals with me, it's usually because they trust me. They feel like I'm going to follow through with what I say I'm going to do, right? Testimonials are great from people you bought houses from. They're awesome, but guys, people are selfish. They want to know, you know, Adrian, that's awesome. You bought these houses from these other people that they were happy, but I just want to know, like, can you help me in my situation with my house? And so basically what they're saying is that, can I trust you?
Yeah.
Right. So testimonials are great, but don't just make it about the transactions. Make it also having people vouch for you. So the best one to do that is your pastor, maybe an attorney that you've worked with. Maybe if you're a professional in another industry, reach out to some other people and just have them vouch for your character. The third thing is transparency. Guys, you got to be the face of your company. You know, we have to get over this fact that I don't like what I look like. I don't like, that's probably one of the biggest things you get, Josh, is people hate to be in front of a camera because they don't like what they look like and they don't like what they sound like. Mm-hmm. To be successful in this business, you got to greet people at the door, is how I like to put it. Whether it's your website, especially your website, let people know who you are.
Something on that point real quick too, is that I think more than ever, it's crazy. Like I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people are, branding's important. Branding is by far important. I've just kind of stepped out of that role just because it's just not lucrative enough to me compared to the content that I produce. So I just kind of like let that go. But I've designed probably over 100 brands for real estate investors, guys, and branding is important. So let me not discount this, but at the same time, more than ever in this day and age where you got AI, you've got all this technology, you've got, bots. When you go to a website, bot pops up and you start communicating, and then you jump on a phone, and then you got to go through 4 different people in order to get to the destination that you're trying to get to with customer rep. Real estate is becoming more localized than ever. It's by far not just the market, like definitely the market. So it depends, the mastermind I was at this past week. I mean, there's one guy who he invests in Sacramento, California, but he also invests in Columbus. And he's like, there is not even a comparison. Like Columbus wins every single time because of the market. So it's localized in that factor, but it's also people want to deal with the localized businesses. Because of this day and age where we're, infatuated with all this AI, infatuated with all this, technology, where we don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. We don't have to go to the store to pick up that, that piece of tech, a mouse, or, whatever it is. So like conveying that on your website, I'm so glad you brought that up. I think that's incredible and people need to do that, but just don't do it super generically. And Adrian, I don't know if you agree with me on that. Like, don't get lost in the woodwork and look like everybody else, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, 100%. I mean, and that's where you got to find your sweet spot, guys. That's why it's so important. I'm glad you brought that up too, was about how you got to know your market. Every market's going to be different. Like for me, I'm in 3 different markets, and trust me, guys, all three of my websites for each market are not identical. They're specialized locally to that. So for an example, in one market, we're going heavily after very low end properties. So the content is at 4th grade, 5th grade reading level. Yeah. Because we don't want to overwhelm someone by trying to sound smart, sound really professional.
You're dealing with a totally different person.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, you can't talk to Target with Walmart slogan, and you can't walk into Target with Walmart whatever, it's 2 different groups. So and then
I'm a Target person, by the way.
Target.
It's Target. That's right.
So that's a good example, guys. So it's very important that you know your local market. You also know what's going on, and also not just in the localization, but also even on your content. Like here's a silly example I like to use on our Carrot coaching calls is, one of the best way to draw attention to is by what content are you talking about? So for example, if nobody ever dies in your market, it's probably gonna be silly for you to talk about or create video on probate stuff. Yeah. Because no one's gonna listen. No one knows what it is. So I think a lot of times in our industry, we just kind of just want to wing it and just throw anything and everything out there, which that's better than nothing, right? But if you really want to draw attention, you want to be the local celebrity, you want to be the local authority, the supreme problem solver, right? You got to be in tune with that. And a big part of that and how you're going to do that is by knowing that market. Like here in North Carolina, we're in an epic, I shouldn't say epic, but we have a very high foreclosure rate. So the way that we're going to and look at it from this point of view too, guys, the way I'm going to serve my market is providing content on how to stay out of foreclosure.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Steps,
thank you. That's what I tell everybody that I work with. And it always works for the people that actually do it and move forward with it. I mean, it's you're building a relationship. It's the know, like, and trust marketing that I talk about, guys, all the time. And I'm so glad that you said that.
No. And that's why, guys, stay out of the silly conversations too about, hey, like, I see so many investors, especially newbies, that get caught up in, they spend a chunk of their time debating what paper they should use, what color they should have, what lettering, what fonts. Instead of taking that same time that you're debating on your vehicle that you're using, and same thing with website. I see so many people say, hey, man, I want to use Carrot, but everybody uses it. Everyone's saying, I said, well, that probably tells you that it works. So you should work if you want to be competitive. Or people say, you know what, I just want to look different. But here's the thing, it's not about looking different. It's how do you build more trust that that's how you get people's attention, not by what you wear, but it's what you can do, right? So we get so caught up in more of the nonsense, like I said, what paper we should use, or what list works best. Again, those things are important, right? They're very important. But I think if we would spend enough time to really learn to market, learn to motivate a seller beyond them being motivated. I think sometimes I'll say, who's your customer? Oh, motivated seller. And that's the extent of it. Right. So, and one thing too, guys, with the way that transparency is working and how people are, especially the last crash, people are more smart, right? Even consumers. Right. So one thing I'll say this is, guys, just because a motivated seller is motivated doesn't mean they're dumb. Okay. Sometimes I think that just because we think someone's motivated, they're just going to do what we tell them to do.
Right.
They're motivated, but they're still cautious. They still, and not only that, but trust me, a lot of people are surrounded by family members, by friends that are going to tell them, hey, you better watch out. Yep. So you got a lot of that stuff going on. So if you can kind of understand all this, you'll begin to know now what you should say, whether you're saying it fast or you're saying it long form, right? Whether it's, Facebook ads or whether it's video. Things just become so much easier by knowing your customer, by knowing your market. Now you're not stuck there saying, hey, what should I say? What should I talk about? If you know your customer, you already know what to say. And a lot of what you need to say is not just what you can do, but also putting their mind at ease on some of the stuff they're concerned about. So here's a good example. Get out your phone and instead of creating a video that's talking about how you're awesome, you can do this and that, address some of the questions that people have. I do a lot of pay-per-click advertising, so I get to see a lot of the search terms that people are actually looking up. Right. And a good chunk of those are concern questions. Hey, like for an example, there was one that said, hey, is we buy houses with cash a ripoff or legit? Man, that's a perfect video right there.
It is.
So get a video, say, hey, hey guys, Adrian here with Chief Real Estate Solutions. One of the most common questions we get with my service is this legit? Right. And let me say this. Yes, it's a legit service, but let me tell you, that doesn't mean that everyone is going to perform. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? So first of all, yes, what we do is legit. It's not a scam, because again, you're bringing, what I love Trevor Mock says is take the skeleton out of the closet and make it dance, right? Address what they're already thinking. Right. I think a lot of times we're afraid to bring stuff up as investors. Exactly. Because we think we're going to lose the deal.
Exactly.
Right. We kind of sidestep certain things because we don't like confrontation, or we don't know how to answer it, or we're just not confident. That's usually the issue. But address what they're thinking. And if you do that, they're going to trust you more. So a perfect video content would be, hey, Adrian here. One common questions we get is, hey, do we get what we do? Is it legit? Is this a scam? Whatever. And just address that. And then put your spotlight on you. Like, hey, like I know for us, I don't know, however you want to say it. Like for us, or better yet, when you get out of the title company, when you close a deal, hey, Adrian here, just walked out of Hutchinson Law. We just wrapped up a deal. One thing that's really cool about this deal was not necessarily a deal because we help a lot of people, but this one was extra special because Sally needed to sell her house. She was facing foreclosure. We stepped in and we're able to save her credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
those are great content. I mean, those are case studies. They're perfect for, especially if you have a common situation. I mean, if you deal with a lot of probates, if you deal with a lot of foreclosures, like do videos on that. And then I'm glad you brought that up too, is because, guys, I say it all the time, content, the only purpose for content should be to answer people's questions. And like he said, at the end of it, yeah, you could plug your, give the call to action at the end, but deliver that value up front. Answer people's questions very directly, like address like you said, bring the skeleton out of the closet and address that and tell people like, hey, it's okay to have this apprehension. Most people do, but I'm going to answer your question really quick. And here's what let me elaborate on this. And then once you've delivered that value, now you can give the call to action. This is how I build every single person's video that I shoot videos with, guys. And it works. It works.
I love it.
So it's good stuff, man. Well, Adrian, dude, I mean, this has been, we could spend another 4 hours on that.
No, we could. This is my jam, guys. I mean, here's the crazy part. Believe it or not, guys, I'm a total introvert. I really am. But when you get me on this topic, I can talk all day long because I'm passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And what do I say that, guys? When you communicate your message, your content, be passionate about it. People see that. So whether it's the motivated seller or whoever you're dealing with, be passionate, be confident in the solution that you provide, and don't be shy. Don't be scared to address those concerns. Actually, those are probably the ones that's going to get your foot in the door, is addressing those hard questions.
Yes.
Those things that no other investors or wholesalers. So that's how you stand out, guys, not by how glossy your card is or how pretty your website is. What really stands out is what's your ability to connect with the person one-on-one. And the only way you're going to do that effectively is by understanding and knowing them. So take time to understand your customer.
Absolutely. Man, this has been incredible. You dropped so many nuggets here that I'm going to be able to chop up and use for micro content. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
This is so much fun. I'm definitely going to have you back because there's so much more that we need to talk about too. So I want to give you the opportunity. I mean, for the 1% of people that are real estate investors that don't know what Carrot is, do me a quick favor and just elaborate on that real quick. Absolutely. And what all Carrot can provide, and then how they can learn more about it.
Absolutely. First of all, we have the coolest swag on the planet.
You guys do, man. So you guys do. I listened to Trevor's podcast he did. It was one of his truck and drive or whatever, and he talked about swag, and I was like, dude, I got to do that.
No, it's this. So first of all, if you join Carrot, you're going to get some awesome swag. But no, seriously, again, what me and Josh talked about was make sure you have online presence. And I love Carrot, first of all, because it is lead generation based. It is conversion based, and it's performance based. So if you're looking, if you feel like you want to drive traffic, you're going to put some money into it. Make sure you're using a system that's going to help and support that, which is what Carrot does. So we're a lead generation system. We also offer support to help you crush it. So we're not just kind of just throw this to you and then, hey, go figure it out. That's one thing I love about Carrot. I mean, I'm still a full paying customer. And one of the things that I say a lot on my Instagram is change your family tree. And I know Carrot has literally changed my family tree just because, I don't know, I just ran with it, and it's amazing the doors it's open, not just in the business, but just even branding wise, all that. So reach out to carrot.com. We got an awesome world-class support team there ready to help if you have any other questions. And but either way, guys, whether you use Carrot or not, have an online presence. It's the best investment you can make, especially as a newbie. The best thing that you can have instantly, a website, is going to give you instant credibility with people.
Yeah.
Right. So either way. But
yeah, absolutely. And that's the way you want to build it too, is you gotta send people to the website so you can capture their data. Because if Facebook went away tomorrow, guys, then you lose if people giving you likes, which you probably aren't building an audience of motivated sellers.
Yep.
But that being said, you still want to capture that information so that you can lock them in and then chase them around wherever they're at. So make sure you do that. But very simple, guys. Carrot.com. Carrot.com. That's it. That's all you got to go to.
That's
so
it.
Make sure you check it out. I'll have all the links in the description below for you. But Adrian, again, dude, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm definitely having you back, and we're going to have some more fun to talk about more of
Yeah.
this stuff.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the Who's Crushing It segment. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure that you check out the rest of the content that is in the newsletter. Share this around with your investor friends. I would much appreciate it. And then reach out to me if you got questions. You can either reply to that email or email josh@colormedia.com, color CULLER. Again, all the links are in the description below. Make sure you check it out. And actually, one quick thing that I normally do that I did not do with you that I am definitely going to do right now. We talked about Carrot, but if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, what would be the best way to do that? Because I know, actually, I want to preface it with this. I know that I'm in probably like 20 or 30 different real estate investing Facebook groups, and you're in like almost every single one. And every time somebody like asks a question about websites, or even if it's not even about Carrot, I know a lot of people talk about, they ask questions about Carrot sites or, but any other websites, like I always see Adrian jump in and say, hey, reach out to me, or, hey, let's talk about this, and here's my tip or whatever. So he's very reachable, like very responsive. So if somebody wanted to contact you directly, what would be the best way to do that?
Best way to do is on Instagram. I love Instagram. It's a very positive platform overall. So, and that I'm most active there. And I share a lot of stuff that I'm doing there too as well. How we're generating leads from the website. My jam is SEO and PPC. So that's how we do it. Share a lot of stuff on there, and feel free to, I answer all the questions that come through. So connect with me. Just look up the Adrian Nez, and the doesn't mean I'm trying to be conceited, but there's other Adrian Nez that look really fishy. So I had to kind of use that. But Instagram, the Adrian Nez. Connect with me there. Let me know you saw this episode, and would love to connect.
Absolutely. Guys, again, I'm going to have the links in the description below so you can connect with them. And that's going to do it for the episode today. Check you guys out later. See ya.